Hello, this is a tutorial on how to take a symbol and wrap it around a 3D object in Adobe Illustrator. The end result should look something like this sphere right here in the center. So let's get started. First things first, you will need to acquire an image. I simply copy and pasted this image off the web into a fresh Illustrator document. After acquiring your image, we will then be turning this into a symbol. So we are going to make sure to select it with the direct selection tool. Then go to Window and scroll down to Symbols. Now our Symbols window is open and empty because we have not created any symbols to be put into our library yet. So we are going to go to the top right corner, click on it, click on New Symbol. We're going to name this Pattern. After naming it, we will then go to the Type drop-down menu, click on Graphic, click OK, and now our image has been turned into a symbol and is in our symbols library. So now that we have our symbol made, we can move that off to the side and begin work on our 3D object. To make our 3D object, I will be using the Ellipse tool. To create a perfect sphere, you will need to hold down Shift and Alt if you're on a PC, and I believe it is Shift and Option if you're on a Mac. So while holding those two keys down, you will then left click and drag until you get the desired sphere size, then release them all at the same time. So now that we have our sphere made, we are going to need to change the color of it, the fill color, because it is white just like our background and our symbol, and that will only make things harder when covering it, because you will not be able to see which area has been covered and which area has not. So we will then go to the fill, double click, and I think I'm going to change it to a vibrant red, that way it is easy to see. Click OK. Now that our sphere has been colored red, we will then go to the direct selection tool, click on the right anchor. If you've done so correctly, you will see all three corners have been selected. Then click delete. Now you are left with the left hemisphere. We are then going to take this left hemisphere and turn this into a 3D object. To do that, you will go to Effect, 3D, Revolve, and now you will see our options window. We are then going to change, first of all, we're going to click on the preview. That way we can see what we are applying to our 3D object as we go along. So next we are going to go to the left edge and change that to the right edge. That way we can have our perfect sphere instead of our cylinder. Then we will be changing the surface shading from plastic shading to a diffused shading, because we do not need that much highlight on this sphere, especially with this pattern already on it. Okay, after doing that, we will then click on Map Art to apply our symbol to our 3D object. This grid here is the face of our 3D object. So if you leave any of this grid uncovered by our symbol, it will also be uncovered on your 3D object, coming up as red, which is what we colored the fill. So to apply our symbol to our 3D object, we will then go to Symbol, click on the drop-down menu, and it will be the only symbol in our list. Click on it, Pattern, and now we have our symbol on our grid, which is our 3D object. So now we are going to position our symbol over our grid by grabbing the anchors and dragging outwards until they are completely flush with the grid. As you can see, our sphere is completely covered by our symbol now, because it has been completely covered over here on the grid. Now we can click Shade Artwork, because I do still want to retain some kind of 3D effect to this. although not plastic shading, I do want some shading done to this. So I'm going to click on Shade Artwork. As you can see, it added a nice little dinginess to it, a nice little shading. Okay, then we can click OK, and OK again on our 3D Revolve options. And now we can delete the original image which we used, and we are left with our final product, which is a symbol that has been applied to a 3D object as a wrap. And that concludes this tutorial. Thank you.